guys, what's up? Welcome back to The Warm Truth. I'm one of your hosts, Kim,
And I'm your girl, Melisha, aka Melly Mel.
and we are continuing our Black business highlights, specifically businesses that are owned by Black women here in Austin, Texas. And so today we have Miss Renee from the Southern Soul Bowl. I'll go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Renee Segura Owens, and I am one of the owners of the Southern Soul Bowl. We do Cajun soul food, and we're open every Saturday and Sunday at Bartholomew Park. And we do DoorDash as well. So we're open on Saturdays and Sundays, and during the week we do catering and some events when we're hired out to do those.
Awesome. And she's being so humble, y'all. This the best food in the city.
Thank you.
In
The
the
best
city.
food in the
In
city.
all of Austin. All of Austin. Catch her on a weekend.
Hey. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and transition to our first question. So talk to us a little bit about your business, how long you've been in business, where your inspiration came from, and I guess how you ended up in Austin. If you're not from Austin, I don't know if
I'm
we'll
from
talk about that.
I'm from Beaumont.
Okay.
My father's family's from Austin. My mother's family's from Beaumont by way of Louisiana.
Okay.
So I've always lived back and forth between Austin and Beaumont. I went to high school there, went to high school here, went to middle school there, went to middle school. So I've always lived back and forth. Just I love to cook. Just like from being a little kid, I didn't really care for it then. When my grandmother would make me stand at the stove and brown roux all day until they got brown. So I didn't like it as much then as when I got older. And we've been in business maybe about selling food wise, maybe about 5 years. So I've always cooked and would host like massive 4th of July events at my house and things like that where I would cook, but I wasn't selling food. I was just cooking and everybody knew I cooked, or they would, on Sundays, the whole family would come over to my house and I would host Sunday dinners. So just always really liking to cook, and I always cook by sight. So if somebody showed me a picture and I kind of could look at the picture and I was like, oh, I can make this. So I kind of cook by sight. My daughters are always fussing like, you need to start writing the recipes down. So what if something happened to you? How we gonna know how to cook it? I'm like, I don't.
We're losing the recipes.
I don't measure any. I don't know. I just cook by feeling. So I don't have anything technically written down. I just remember it.
Yeah.
And just. But I wasn't always as good a cook. I think years and years ago when I kind of first got on my own, and I remember I had cooked for this guy, and I made meatloaf, and he talked about my meatloaf so bad. He said it just tastes like a hunk of meat with ketchup.
Ooh.
I would have cried.
Yeah, he talked about my meatloaf. And I guess just over time, I just love to cook. I mean, just experiment. If I see something on TV, or if I'm like, oh, I want to try that, I'm gonna make that next week. Or if I see something online, I'm like, okay, we're having it tomorrow. So my daughters, I was like, that's your ADHD that makes you hop around like that. But if I see something on TV, I'm like, okay, we're having it next week, or we having it tomorrow. So I go buy up all the ingredients and I'll make whatever I seen online, on a commercial, on a movie. I'm making it.
Okay. What led to you deciding to like sell plates and kind of make it a business?
We had an 18-wheeler. I had a restaurant supply business where we delivered like the Papados and Perry's and all of their restaurant supplies, China, their to-go-ware, everything. So when the company I had a contract through lost their contract, we lost our contract. And we still had our 18-wheelers, and we had them over the road. Well, 18-wheeler business isn't as productive as it used to be. So we decided, I was like, well, I've always wanted to find a restaurant, but years ago it was harder. Like now in Austin, you see where they've converted these houses and stuff. They wasn't having that. It was really, really hard to find an existing building that already had grease traps that you can open. Austin was a stickler about that. See, now they're real lax. Now they have these looks like little dumpsters, and you can get your grease trap dumped in there.
Yeah.
But back then, it was none of that. We had the building over here on 12th across from Mount Carmel. It's they have it now. It used to be like a little restaurant on the side, and the other side was a beauty shop right on that corner where a Jehovah's Witness temple is behind it.
Okay.
And we had that, and we could never get it going because it didn't have an existing grease trap. So when I was talking to the city to try to get it going, they were like, "Oh, you're gonna have to get structural engineers. You're gonna get this engineer. They're gonna have to dig it up and put it on the ground." I was like, "Well, I'm just leasing,
Right.
so I'm not willing to do all that on a lease. Build a whole grease trap for a property." So it was just real hard to find an existing restaurant that had closed because everybody had everything on lock, kind of. So a building. So I was just kind of forgot about it, put it on the back burner. We ended up buying a bus some years back, and we had it sitting for a while, and then we came up with the idea we were going to turn the bus into a food truck. So we bought the bus. I think we went to Hempstead and bought the bus from a church,
Okay.
and we had it sitting for a while. Then we found somebody to do the conversion, and he took like about almost 2 years doing the conversion.
Oh, wow.
And back then, you could really like go online and you could find people were just selling restaurant supplies. It was kind of after COVID, so it was like a lot of restaurants was going out of business, and people would, So we were able to go in, and I was just
smart.
finding all of the stuff that I wanted in the truck. So the inside of our truck is like a complete restaurant. Everything that a restaurant has in it, it's in that truck, just on a smaller scale. So there are warming drawers, there's steam tables, there's a full stove, oven, flat top, deep fryers, electric and gas, and then we also have 2 refrigerators. So everything that's in a restaurant, you can cook anything in there that you can think of
Wow.
in that truck.
I know that's right.
It's just small.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so once we got the conversion done, got all of our permits and got everything done in the beginning, because we just jumped out there. I knew I could cook and I wanted to cook, so we didn't have no concept down. We just winging
We
it.
just know you can.
Yeah, I
Right.
knew I could cook. We
Right,
just
that was
winging
it.
it, and we
That's all
kind of
she needed.
learned on the fly.
Yeah.
So at first, when I first opened, we did our opening. We were out by my house, like by Austin Colony, because that's kind of what I initially wanted, because there wasn't really anything over there to eat. But people don't come out their house. You will never see anybody walking around the neighborhood. You might bump into somebody at the corner store, but you don't really see a lot of people in my neighborhood. And we were just making like excessive amounts of food. So, but we weren't popping yet. So I would donate the food to the boarding houses, because we would have so much of it left. And I mean, we were selling food, but not for the volume. So I had to learn that too. So I was just overcooking. So I was doing a lot of waste, and so over time, then I scaled back. And then once I scaled back, then it was like we didn't have enough. And then we did a contest with the city of Austin for Givens, and we had won first place for their groundbreaking of the swimming pool. Then we started doing the Slicer Pflugerville. We won savory second place there as well.
Accolades.
And so then we just over time tweaking the menu, and I just think of all the things I loved eating when I was a kid, like growing up in Beaumont, and the things that I know I couldn't find here, or the things that people would make here that they thought were authentic and they wasn't necessary. Yeah. And like when we wanted soul food, we had drove, like before I started doing it, like one time somebody, they have really good soul food in Killeen. So we drive all the way up to Killeen. It's Asian. It's an Asian family doing the soul food in Killeen. Now I don't know if they got some black soul food, but they were like doing
The black recipe.
yeah, they were doing like ham hocks and chitlins, and they were doing greens and yams, but they were doing canned. And so because I'm a foodie, an old school foodie, anything from a can, I'm a no. But they were doing the soul food, and I was like, what? And so we would go to Houston, we would go to Mickey's. Now I wouldn't just drive up there necessarily but when I would go to Houston or whatever, we would stop and get soul food. And I would cook it at home, but then not like I do now. So sometimes I get up on Sunday like, oh, I'm gonna cook all this. And sometimes I'm like, y'all want some Chipotle? So,
Yeah.
but now I cook all the time. Like literally I'm cooking like every day. And so I just started coming up with the things I knew I liked to eat that you couldn't find here, which were oxtails. And I didn't used to do oxtails every weekend. I would do them like as a special sometimes. Well, it got to the point where people would like literally just coming like, hey, are you out of oxtail? Do you have oxtails? And I had to just put them on there like every weekend because people were looking for the oxtails, and they were always looking for like the jerk chicken. And I would have people that would, like my size, like greens and stuff, that'll just come because they want large containers of greens, large containers of yams,
Cabbage.
and they probably make cabbage because they
so
probably
good.
cook something at home, like the meat, but they wanted my size. So it just kind of went from there, and then somebody would come and they would bring a friend, or they would bring their family, or the little young guys would come. They would bring all of their homeboys with them, and they'll be like, we want the fried ribs, or we want trash can fries. That was like something we started doing when we first opened. I would do trash can fries. And I haven't put them back on the menu, and I might do them for the summer. But it was like our seasoned fries with brisket and coleslaw and mac and cheese over French fries with our hot Hennessy sauce.
Okay.
The list kept going on.
And so we had did it in a while. We would do like the deep fried baked potatoes, and it's a baked potato, and we stuff it with greens,
Man,
Oh.
mac and cheese, and oxtails. So it's like I cook so much stuff that sometimes I'm like, okay, if I have all of this, and people would come up to and they would literally be like, it's so much on the menu. Look at, I don't know what to order because it's so much. So I tried to streamline the menu some because it was just stuff everywhere. And I still do a full menu, but I try to have specials that I take off and rotate them out so that people, if you come to the truck, you'll get a glimpse of the specials, because our menu is a little different on DoorDash. The things that I don't think that travel well, I don't put on DoorDash.
Ooh, that's smart.
That's so smart.
Yeah, so if I feel like, I don't think by the time it gets to your house that this is gonna be as good as if you walk up and you buy it and you first taste it, so you know how it was initially. But if you gotta wait for the driver, then wait for it to get delivery, so some things
Can we
don't.
put a note in DoorDash? You be like, hey, we know you. We know it's gonna be good. Go on and go
Or
and make
people
that
order
for me.
DoorDash, but they'll call me and they'll be like, well, I ordered this, or because I'll tell them, or like if it's even on DoorDash, like if it's something you want me to do, put it in the comments for us. And we look at those comments. So somebody was like, hey, do you think you could put some rice and gravy in the side? So we'll do it.
Okay.
Or if somebody called, they'll order the DoorDash. Hey, I just ordered on DoorDash, and such and such and such, and it's not on the menu, but they know it's there, and I'll be like, okay, well, I'll just put a piece of cake in there,
Okay. See?
or stuff like that. So we do stuff like that. Or if people come up and they order, I'll, hey, have you ever had this? And so I'll try to give out samples or little miniature cups. We have music, just like family vibes. For the summer, we usually have the tables out. Sometimes people would come, sit and eat. We hadn't been putting them out lately, but for the summer, we said we're going to start back putting the tables out. Because some people do want to sit down and eat instead of, getting in the car, leave. Because we have people sitting in the car and
That'd
eating.
be me.
And I've had...
Right.
I have a couple that they've been driving down. They live on the other side of Giddings. And so they've been coming on Sundays. After church, they'll drive up and they'll order. They'll order their food for right then. They'll eat some in the truck. They'll order some food for when they get home. And I have people that'll come. They'll come early, order their lunch and their dinner and take it home. So it just depends. And I love it. I like the feedback. So I like when people like it. So that's what makes me want to like go above and beyond. Like if it's not right, and if something's not right, or if and you still outside, I'm like, hey, give me that back. That's no, or I don't have this. Ain't the way I want it. And I'll come and tell you. And I'm like, here, I'm gonna give you try this, and then I'm gonna give you some free dessert or something because I know you wanted this. So I try to compensate. And if somebody orders on DoorDash and because sometimes you can't help, we'll be running out in the midst of taking orders, and we used to try to be real good with DoorDash, putting sold out inside of the machine. But sometimes people's stuff, they'll still order. So I always try to call the customer as opposed to DoorDash. So if the customer answers, and I'm always calling, hey, we don't have this. Do you want this? And then I'll throw you some extra greens in there if you take the cabbage, because we didn't have cabbage, so I'll give you extra greens and some yams. So I do try to compensate people when we don't have,
Right.
or we sell out of stuff. And I tell them all the time, you cannot come 10 minutes before closing asking me about no oxtails. You can't do it. It's
Gotta
none.
let the people know.
That's the first thing that's gonna go is oxtails, catfish, and oxtails are gonna go.
She putting y'all on game.
I'm-
First thing gone.
Those are gonna be the first things. And strawberry crunch cake.
Strawberry crunch
It's so
cake.
good. I've had the strawberry crunch cake, the catfish.
Have you the peach cobbler banana pudding?
Oh, I have not
peach,
had.
cobbler, banana.
But you have to
pudding.
try it. You ain't gonna never want them separate again.
I want them now.
I'll have it this weekend.
Okay, we're gonna come out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Ooh,
tell
it's
you
Southside, too.
how Kim found her and was trying to gatekeep her from everybody. She would put us on the scavenger hunt. She's somewhere over there, over there on that side somewhere. One time, I was driving around. I said, "Now Kim, why you lying? I don't see this truck anywhere." My husband was like, "Where is it at?" I was like, "Oh, Kim got me on this scavenger hunt. I don't know where this is."
Well, we gonna have the turkey wings and dressing this weekend, so don't.
Ooh,
It's smothered in gravy.
dressing.
You can get it with dressing or you can get it with white rice. So you know where we at now, right?
Yes, I know.
Come
Thank
get
you.
some.
I know. I'm gonna get me some. I know.
Okay.
Yeah. See, and I love this. Is how you know the food is good. Your passion about your food and what you're cooking and how the people receive your food. People don't think about that, especially on DoorDash, on how hey, this is not gonna arrive to you right. So I'm not even gonna put this out here. That is such a thoughtful, meaningful thing to say and do, because I know so many times I might get something from like the north side DoorDash to me and I'm like, I know this was good if I was there.
I've even had. I remember a girl ordered her food on DoorDash. Well, the driver picked it up, but after he took the food, he went in and like canceled. Like, I don't know how they do it, but he canceled. Like, he never came and picked it up, and we had been waiting because we were actually closed. And DoorDash stops taking orders like a quarter, like 15 minutes before you actually close, so that they're not still coming in when you close. So he picked it up, but then he canceled it.
Did he eat it?
He probably did. So I called DoorDash because it said cancel. I was like, no, we sat here and waited. He picked that order up or whatever. So I called the girl. The girl was still waiting on her food. So I called her and I told her what happened. And she was like, she said, oh man, I'm pregnant. I've been waiting on my food.
Aww.
And so I got her address and I went and delivered her food to her.
Stop.
And my husband was like, you better quit doing that. You don't know who to it. I was like, but she's pregnant. So I drove her stuff out like to Brownie, like by Breaker and between Breaker and Rumberg. But she came out and she was pregnant. She was like, "Ooh, thank you so much. I was waiting on my food all day."
See, this is the above and beyond customer service that we're talking about.
Yes.
Austin, get in line. Get in line.
I'm telling you, this is like the only, because I don't get out that much. All I do is the only places I go is the grocery store and home. And we like vacation twice a year, but other than that, that's the only places I go, grocery store and home, unless we doing an event. So, that's like my entertainment and my outing for the week is on the weekends. When I get out, that's when I get to see people.
Right.
I get to talk to everybody. That's my Saturday and Sunday. That's my entertainment. I'm cooking and entertaining. So, yeah.
I love that. What's, as a Black woman in business, what is something, a gem or a vice that you would give someone that's trying to come up and do the same thing, or in any business?
Bet on yourself and don't wait. Don't wait. I'm gonna do it this year. I'm gonna wait till I get because you'll never do it. Really. Like I said when I told you I was overcooking doing, I just jumped out there because if I would have kept waiting, I would have never did it, and I would have ended up back in a doctor's office somewhere in the back working again. And I was just like, nah, we just gonna do it. We gonna do it next weekend. I passed out a few flyers. I put it on Facebook, told some people, and we just opened up. But I will always say, I'm always bet on me. So I'm gonna tell anybody, always bet on yourself, because you know what you're capable of, and you know when you work for yourself. And I worked hard when I worked for other people, but when I work for myself, I'm always work 200% more because it's mine. And I know it's up to me whether I sink or swim. So I just get out there and I know what I like. I know what I don't like when I go to restaurants, and I'm mindful of what I like. And I know if I order something with some meat in it, I want to see meat in it.
Yes.
I know if I order some macaroni and cheese, I want some cheese. So I think about that type of stuff. I won't, when I order food, when I go places, and I tell people, I was like, make my food like you make yours when you go to lunch.
Yep, exactly.
So, and I'm mindful of that. So when I'm fixing plates, I'm like, I'll be mad if I get home and it's just a little scoop of candy yams in my plate, and I done drove all the way up here to get a plate. So I try to make sure you gonna get enough for now. You could put that up and you can eat on it a little bit later. So I think about portion size. So if you paying this amount of money, you ain't coming up there. If I pay this amount of money, I don't want one pork chop. If I pay this amount of money, And our places aren't like that, but you're gonna be able to share that plate. You can share it if you want to. So I really do think about things like that. I want to be able to eat off my plate more than once.
Right.
So I know the next person probably is gonna want to eat off their plate more than once. So, and people are spending their hard-earned money with me, and so I think I want to make sure I give them enough. I want to make sure that it's right, that it's hot, that is seasoned right, it's not burnt, or it I think about all that when I'm
Yes,
fixing. Yeah, y'all come and see us at Bartholomew Park, 1800 East 51st Street, in front of the basketball court where the swimming pool is.
Okay. Yes. Well, thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please show up at the Southern Soul Bowl
Thank you.
Oh,
food
51st.
truck. Yes, on 51st. Come out, like she said, you could try everything on her menu. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Listen to The Warm Truth, where you find us on Spotify, Apple, all the things where you listen to your podcast. Follow us on Instagram at The Warm Truth Pod, as well as YouTube. And then you can follow your girl at Don't Miss a Beat _Y and a girl and her swing.
Yes, and of course, don't forget to follow Miss Renee on Facebook at the Southern Soul Bowl.
Yes.
And then you can also follow me at my personal Instagram at kimshell _ that's with an S. And then you can follow me at we walk the number 2 _ ATX. Until next time, we'll see.